Okay, welcome back, everybody. I told you the big surprise was not going into Replit, but to go into something else, and it's Canva of all things. I would have never guessed it out of the box. My personal experience with Canva is I am graphically challenged. So while I do use Canva, you can see on the screen I've got designs up, including my thumbnails for this channel, at least the current thumbnails. I can get by with getting a design done in a pinch, but it's just always painful. And frankly, Canva's screen has never been orderly and organized in a way that I felt like I really knew what was going on and how I saved my stuff and did it get to the right place and all the layers there, the whole bit. So if you told me that Canva would be the best starter tool for coding, I would have definitely disagreed before. However, I've been playing with it. It's been out for a couple of months now. And, like all the tools, this is basically stage one. It will get much better, I'm sure. However, for a starter, it's actually perfect, especially for somebody like me who's graphically challenged. I'm going to build the entire project, get to the end of the project, and then be excited about the project because it's done. I'm ready to make it public or really start using it. The piece that's going to be undone for me almost always is going to be that front end, that nice front end where all the buttons are there, the right colors and the right shapes and the right mix and the whole bit. So what you can do with Canva Code or Canva AI or coding with Canva, however you want to say it, you can actually do the front end first and just say, okay, this is what I want. And we'll play around in a minute, but you can say, this is what I'm looking for. This is my end goal. And there may be a ton more coding to do to get it to do everything you want it to do. But this is sort of starting with the end in mind, which is really good for your MVPs because it's going to allow you should not get too bloated up front. Because if you get into Cursor and you're, just hacking away with Copilot and GitHub and ChatGPT and TypingMind, the whole thing, like they have no stopping point. So they will just keep engineering and encouraging you to engineer until the point you probably don't even recognize your projects. So I think this is a fantastic addition to our toolbox. We're going to get in next and we're going to play around with it a little bit. We'll see what it does. And then I'm going to do a couple of things. One, we're going to do just that. We're going to take and use Canva. We'll do some minimal front ends and then we'll see where we go from there. Because the nice thing about this is it's code. Code does not lock you into any tool. So you can take that code and you can take it to TypingMind. You can take it to Cursor. You can take it to Replit. You can take it to Bubble or any of the other ones. In fact, I found some just plain HTML editors on the web where you can use those to further experiment. And some of those obviously have more features, but if you just want to see what this HTML coming out of Canva is going to look like somewhere else, it's just cut and paste. It's literally copy all the code, drop it in somewhere else, see how it looks. In some of my research, I did find that people were struggling a little bit with integrations and trying to connect it to CRMs and things like that. That's not a problem. What you really want to do with Canva is get your front end done, make it look pretty. And it doesn't have to be finished. It doesn't have to be the final product, but at least get it to the point where when you are done with everything else on the back end, you look at it, you say, okay, this is a good MVP that I would be willing to show off. And that's all we have to get out of Canva at this point. Canva does not have to be a full stack developer. We don't need that. We really need it to just give us the nice, pretty thing to start with. And then as we build up from the back end, we've already moved into being a finished product before we've even started. I think that's fantastic. And that is so much harder to do in the other packages because those coding packages, the actual developer packages, they are not designers. Where Canva started off as a designer and they baked the AI in and they're baking it in very specifically to be a designer. And that's great because somebody like me, that's where I'm super challenged. I've got tons and tons of ideas of things I want to create. And now that coding is democratized, that's all possible. However, in the back of my mind, I know, yeah, but at the end, it's just going to look like, a Commodore 64 creation in BASIC. So anyway, let's get to it. All right, so here we are in Canva. I've got it open. I also have TypingMind open, and we will come back to TypingMind, but two of the agents that are built into TypingMind that come out of the box that I want you to know about is the Pro Coder. And this one is to help you write code without over-explaining things too much, using only its internal knowledge and treat it like a professional developer. So that's one. The other one is a graphic designer who can help you with your graphic design needs, from creating logos to designing websites and producing visual content. So that might seem a little weird that I've got the graphic designer up here when I said Canva can really help guide your design. And that's true. But one, this agent in TypingMind gives you a second opinion, and that's always good. Also, should you get stuck, part of the secret of this whole coding with AI thing is if I get stuck over here and this LLM, which ultimately Canva's using AI, it's using one of the LLMs, don't know which one, doesn't really matter. But you're going to reach, in every tool, you're going to reach a point where you're at an impasse where I want this done and it just can't get there. When you reach that point, that's the point where you say, okay, take my code, I'm going to drop it over here, and I'm either going to debug it, I'm going to get ideas, I'm going to figure out, is this running fully efficiently? Can I get suggestions on how to code it better? It's not giving me exactly what I want in the design. So as much as I think Canva's awesome with this new piece, I fully recognize there's always going to be points where you've reached the frustration level. Even the LLM has reached a frustration level with you, and you're just not getting there. That's the time to not pack it in and say, forget this project. Just simply take the code you have, drop it in somewhere else. And it doesn't even have to be the whole code sometimes. But anyway, so I definitely want to have those other options available. We've done deep dives into TypingMind. These two agents are here to help us. So they're right out of the box, and we're going to use them a bit later. But for now, when I open up, I like this screen setup, but for now, when I open up and have Canva be full screen, and the way we're going to get to the coding part is this. So when you're in Canva, and I have a paid subscription, Canva is actually super reasonable, so highly recommend it. But even on the free, you still get a fair number of credits because everything's working off credits here as well. And that's another thing too. If you want to not upgrade to the full where you're having to pay Canva, you still have access to these tools. You just have less credits and ability to do a full big project. Not a problem. Give me the basic structure, make it pretty, and I'm going to take it over into whatever my tool of choice is or whatever tool I tend to work in, and I'll run my credits up. So if you're totally against, I don't want to pay for a Canva account, you still are not stuck. You still have access to more limited than what you would have if you had a paid account. But, and I'll drop in down below the chart that shows everything, but that always changes. So I hate putting things like that in a YouTube video because in 3 months it's going to change and it'll be a whole new charging scheme. But just know that if you don't want to pay for a Canva, that's fine. You still have the ability to use this. It's just a little bit less than, you'll get a little less usage every month, and that's fine. Like I said, that's not a showstopper. Use it for exactly what you need, which in this case, I think is design. and then take that design to another tool, and, keep trucking. All right. So how do we get to Canva Code? So we're going to come into Canva. We're at the home. We're going to Canva AI. And this is all of the different kind of AI tools, which there are a ton of Canva AI tools at this point, and those are great too. But I do want to focus on the coding piece. You want to go to Code for Me. All right. And that's going to open up another section down below. These are two of the projects. So they start out with just some sample projects. And if you just click on it, it goes to town coding it. Yeah, the prompt is built in. And I've already done that with two of these. So I did want to start with this one. And the big question is, okay, I coded it, but now how do I get to the code? So first off, let's see what it did, since I already went ahead and did it. So the initial prompt was create a sleek, modern pricing calculator for my business. Start with an example for Clarity Studio Photography. Sessions $150 to $250 an hour. Editing is $50 per image. Albums are $100 to $300. Then ask me about my business name, industry, services, products to include, adjustable pricing variables, preferred visual style, make it visually striking with trendy design elements, fully mobile responsive, and no non-functional buttons. That's a fantastic prompt. I mean, that covered the full basis of, if you could think about what you might ask it to do to design a front end. And this is going to be more than front end. This will be fully functional. And this is just an example of what you'll be able to do is basically from this, you'll be able to turn it into anything for any business in reality. So let's see what it came up with. Okay, so that was the prompt. Then the feedback was, I'll create a sleek, modern pricing calculator for Clarity Studio Photography with all services you mentioned, then gather details to customize it for your business. Perfect. Now it's done. I've created a sleek, modern pricing calculator for Clarity Studio Photography with all the features you requested. The calculator includes interactive sliders for session duration, hourly rates, image editing quantities, and album options, with real-time price updates and a functional quote generator. Now, all of that came from just this couple sentences. That is amazing. And we will be able to do that amazing thing as well when we get to Replit and Cursor. Just this gives us that design element up front, which for some people is a big challenge. Myself, front of the line. Okay. So then it comes and it says, it's asking us the questions it doesn't know. So it's defaulted to what we told it. Your business name and industry. What should I change Clarity Studio Photography to? Services and products to include. What are your main offerings that customers need to calculate pricing for? What factors affect your pricing? Time, quantity, service level, add-ons, etc. Preferred visual style. Any specific colors, themes, or design preferences. Corporate, creative, minimalist, bulk. Okay, so that's all the back and forth. And we aren't seeing anything here yet. It's already been generated. So now let me click here where it says version 1. And if I just told it all the things I wanted it to change, it would create a version 2 and version 1 would still be available. But I do want to click version 1. So here it is. This is what it created. Clarity Studio Photography, a place for a logo, calculate your perfect photography package with our interactive pricing tool. These are sliders, which is awesome. So this is based on the time and the rate. And that's all changing this over here as we slide it up. So if my rate becomes $250, that's a much bigger package. 4 hours. So that's the session. Then we have the photo editing, which is the number of images you want. That was $50 per image, up to 100 images on the slider. So we're going to really run up the bill with the photographer here. And then the album. So standard album is $100. And if I want to change that to a premium, that's another $100. That'll change this 6,100 to 6,200. And if I want to increase the number of quantities, so that's per album. So if I run this up to 5, yes. Okay. So from this prompt that I don't know how many words it is, I could drop it in the notepad and find out, but not a lot. This built the whole thing. It built the front end, which is what I'm really looking for at this point. Reasonably nice, good enough, better than what I would do starting from scratch. I'm going to have a much easier time editing this to make it look the way I really want to make it look versus me having to start from scratch, graphically challenged again. And it's fully functional. So it's actually doing the calculations based on a slider and summing up here. We'll try the generate quote button. We'll see what that says. Okay, so that's breaking it down. And okay, so it's not going to print a quote. It's not going to do a PDF. It will. It has that capability. But like I said, some people did struggle with getting some of those things to work. And what I would have told anybody that was having that trouble, take what you have, move it into another tool. That's truly what I think. Now, the question is, okay, this is great. We got the prompt. We got this, what I would call the MVP here. But how do I take it to the other tool? Simply go up here where it says show code, and there's all the code, which is amazing. I don't know how many rows of code this is, but it's a fair number. It's not as much as some of the other projects that they have in there, but this is still quite a bit. Other thing they did I really like is instead of you having to sit here and try to get every bit of it, which it looks like you actually can't copy it. There we go. Instead of you having to fuss around with this, just come up here to copy code. Boom, done. So now you have the code. What I want to do from here is I'm not going to change anything in Canva. I'm going to now come back to my TypingMind, where did it run off to? So I need to, there we go. Get this dropped in here. So now I've copied the code and I want to do a couple things. And this is just going to be experimental. No judgment towards Canva's code here. Please don't misunderstand that. But anybody and everybody is going to say, no matter what you do, there's more efficient ways to do it. So one of the tests we can do here is an efficiency test. Another thing we could do is if we're having trouble getting the integrations to work, get it as far as you can in Canva Code and drop it over here. And I don't know that Canva Code is actually the correct wording, but it's what I'm going with for right now. Okay, so here's our helpful agent over here. He's all ready to go. I'm going to tell him we just generated this code in Canva Code, and I would like you to preview for any bugs. Okay, and remember you have the shift and return in this new world, which still messes me up. We're going to drop all the code in there. It's going to drop it in as a clipboard, a text file. So it's generating its own text file. There you go, 16,546 characters. So that's a lot. Probably not a lot in code when you really start breaking it down. But anyway, that used to have to be generated by typing line by line, character by character. And here in this new world, it's crazy. In the event that TypingMind has trouble with the text file, which I was having trouble last week with this, if you just hit paste as text, it'll drop it into the body of your methods here, but this is probably going to be fine. And remember, the other thing we have the ability to do is we can change our output settings, depending on what we're asking for. We can get either step-by-step or extreme detail. We wouldn't want to turn code into an essay. You might want a summary. So that is a thing. Think about this. You've got some code that you've got sitting in GitHub or whatever. You're not quite sure what it's supposed to do. Just feed it in and get an evaluation, basically, or an assessment of the code that you have. So you have these output settings. I'm going to leave it on default for right now because we're going to go in a couple different directions. I'm just going to hit done there, and I didn't change anything here. Okay, so we're going to send that off, and we will see what it comes back with. And I would say bugs are like everything else. It's all relative. So even if it comes back with some sort of bug, that's going to be based on the prompts we gave it it was clearly functional. So then that gets into, is it a bug or is it efficiency? Is it a bug or a benefit, right? So we'll give it a couple of minutes here to think. Not minutes, it won't take very long. All right, while that's thinking, I'm going to do this because you can do multiple things in TypingMind. This will just be a chat that we can come back to over there. There we go. So here's a highly focused review with concrete fixes, high priority issues. Quote formatting won't render line breaks. You set quote details via text content in a multi-line template string in HTML. New lines collapse so it appears as one paragraph. Fixed by either add white space pre-line to the quote details element. Okay, so I'm still novice coder, so that doesn't really tell me much. Doesn't seem like it's a high priority issue, but extraneous Cloudflare challenge script included. The last script blocked injects an iframe reference. This is an artifact and should be removed. It can cause console errors and unexpected network requests. Okay, so that means it's going to ping the server too many times. Potentially, we'll take it. Minimal patches, preserve line breaks in your quote. Remove the Cloudflare challenge script. Add Safari support for the glass effect. Currency formatting, that would be a good one. We didn't really tell it what currency, and we could actually change that currency. We could have a whole calculator in the back that says what currency do you want this to be in. Keyboard focus, visibility, add focus styles. Functional notes, the math and state updates look correct. Initial totals match default. Recalc on input. Selected quote options usage is fine. Keeping text content and generate quote avoids XSS if you switch to enter HTML for semantic list. Ensure you only interpolate trusted values. Okay, so let's stop here. So that doesn't mean a lot to me as a novice coder. One thing you could do is, if you want this explained, simply come here. Remember, this is all one output through TypingMind. If you just come here and copy, take it to another chat and say, please explain this to me like I'm a 3-year-old, it will do that and you will be much, much the wiser. Which is another thing that you can do and you should do. So one of the things I like about this is really, it appears to be pretty minimal code. In other words, it's not, it's not in Python, HTML, because it's going to be web-based. My feeling on code, and like I said, I'm a novice coder, so I'm still learning, but if I'm reading a code, if I'm just reading the lines, I can get a pretty good sense for what's happened. Certainly not every single instruction, but I can get the general idea of kind of where we're going. So one of the things we can do, and I'm going to keep this chat for right now, but I'm going to close it up. I'm going to start a new chat. And this new chat I'm going to do in the Pro Coder as well. And you actually want to use their copy button. Otherwise, you're going to end up picking up the prompt too. I am a novice coder, and I would like to learn from the attached code. Please walk me through, let's say, 10 highlights that will help me learn more about coding. Okay, done there. So I'm a novice coder. I would like to learn from the attached code. Please walk me through 10 highlights that will help me learn more about coding. So we left this pretty open-ended. However, we did say we don't want to learn every single character and what every twist and turn does. Give us the top things that we can kind of learn from this. Make sure you include code snippets in your response so I can follow along. Okay, and then we need to give it the code too, so Control V. All right, so this chat is going to be not confused by the upgrades and debugging that it felt it needed. So let's just hit this and let's see what it comes back with. Remember, this is all an experiment. I have not run this in advance. I'm totally making this up as I go. But that is the way this works. It literally works by being curious, experimenting, being able to go backward and say, that's not quite what I wanted. So let's go back a step. That's why you don't go 3 steps at once. You want to go 1 step at a time. So he came back pretty quick. Let's see what he came back with. Here's 10 step-by-step highlights to help you learn from your pricing calculator. With focus code snippets, you can adapt. So number 1, structure and separation of concerns. Here includes line CSS and JS. For maintainability, prefer external files and defer scripts so the DOM is ready before JS runs. Okay, once again, I know what JS is. I know what CSS is. I don't necessarily know what DOM is without thinking too hard about it. So if I don't want to think too hard about it, I just go to another chat and say, I'm practicing coding. What does DOM stand for? You'll find out. You can do it here too, and it's not bad to admit that you don't know what that is, but it could get confusing in the chat. So you just have to make a judgment call there of how deep do you want to get, because it could go off on a total different tangent, and we're on 1 of 10 that we asked for. So, okay, so here's a snippet. Number 2, centralized state instead of multiple globals. Replace multiple global variables with a single state object. This makes it easier to update and pass around app. And something I thought about as we now are getting into coding, there's going to be a ton of new terminology. And I think I'm going to actually put together kind of a Vibe Coders dictionary that we'll just, we'll drop it in. I'll put the link in the videos going forward. And that way, if you pop into any video, some of these things we can address, and they're just always handy, and we're ready to go when we're not sure what it's telling us to do. And I could feed back and say, okay, I'm novice. This is still a level too high for me. Bring it down. Okay, so I'm not going to read through all of these. I could drop them at the bottom of the video in a document. I will scroll through, and if you are not a novice coder, but a more advanced coder, maybe there's some value here for you. If you are not a novice coder, but you're an advanced coder, then maybe there's some value here for you, maybe not. But I will go ahead and scroll through all 10. Okay, so excellent. So now what have we done? We have learned to debug or get a second opinion. We have learned to say, hey, I have this. I want to learn from it, because our goal is not to learn how to write every line of code, but we do want to have kind of the 80-20 relationship with code to say, even if it says it's right, but we still know enough to say, no, this is still not doing what I want. I mean, think about how many chats you've had with ChatGPT where it said, no, this is the answer, and you knew that was not the answer. Yeah, still amazing technology. It just doesn't get it right all the time. And now we're going into coding in an area where you may not know anything. And this is the way to get the second opinion. The other way to get the second opinion is go to a totally different LLM. And that's why TypingMind is great, because you've got all your API keys in there. If you don't like the answer you're getting, not because they're wrong, this is not the answer you're looking for, you've reached an impasse, or you want that second opinion, with TypingMind, it's easy just to drop that question to another model and say, help me out here. This is what I'm struggling with. Give me your opinion. So debug, we didn't ask it about efficiency, but that's another thing we could do. We asked it to take a look, ask it to teach you. Here's code. It's very similar to the way you used to learn things. I learned Excel, a lot of Excel through books, just Mr. Excel books, where you just got to start seeing what's even available. And at this point, everything's available, that's a problem too on the other side. So we can ask it as a teacher. We can also get further design it. So, and this is a place I want to use the other agent. So we'll close this one up. And like I said, these are all chats. So if I come down here, my code review here, that was the first one. Learning to code, key highlights and insight. And by the way, I've moved off of the free TypingMind because I'm now using my account. It was too hard with the memory because it would pick the wrong account with the cloud and resync everything, and I was losing stuff. So at this point, I'll have to start hiding some stuff. But anyway, if you haven't upgraded beyond the free TypingMind account, Just know that mine might look a little different. But anyway, so those two requests that we've made so far, both the debugging and the t-test, are two separate chats at this point. So we can go to either one of those individually, and the other one is still totally separate. Now, I want to do a new chat, and we're going to come to the graphic designer here. Okay. Now, we could probably do this two ways. One, my standby, which is take a screenshot, feed it in. The other thing we could do, and maybe we'll try this one next, is just take the code and give it to her. Now, she is not, let's see, they didn't name her on the front here. She's not necessarily a coder. She's a graphic designer. At least that's what we told her she is, an agent on the backside. We could create a whole nother one that says you are a master graphic designer and master coder, total polymath. We're not going to do that at this point. But we are going to come back here to Canva. We're going to close the code out, bring up this. I will make this bigger, and I will make it smaller at the same time. So I can capture all of it. I grab the screenshot. Let me not get my thing there. Okay, got a good screenshot. So now I'm going to come back here to TypingMind, and I'm going to say, hi, I started this in Canva. I think it's pretty good, but what improvements would you recommend? Okay, so once again, I'm getting a second opinion from somebody who's more graphically gifted than I am, assumably. And let's just see what comes back. Nice start, clean, modern, on brand. She assumes she knows our brand, but okay. Here are targeted tweaks to level it up. Quick wins, high impact, and fast. Contrast, readability, because this is all pretty purple, right? Maybe we're just starting out. We don't have our brand color set yet. She's going to give us some. So we're going to get some nice contrast here. Hierarchy, make, section, okay. So CTA, polish, okay, great color background. Now, here's what I want to do. Okay, so she's made some solid suggestions, but then she's got some you might consider kind of things down here too. I received a second opinion. Can you make update accordingly where you are not sure of what we want to change? Please ask. Okay, it's going to be a very interesting experiment. And what I really want you to get from this is not so much any of this. It's just the back and forth, okay? And I'm still kind of laying some foundation. But if you haven't worked with the LLMs this way in the past, this probably looks new. It feels new. And it is the way, though, to level up and get better and better. Ultimately, if we're trying to produce a product where we're going to sell it and get money out of it, the market is going to make the ultimate decision whether your product's good or not. But what I do love about Canva Code is projects now can go to market with at least everything's going to level up. Just like, back in the day, people used to do YouTube videos or Instagram reels or whatever, just on their phone. They were bouncing around doing like whatever. And yeah, it was an okay experience because that's what everybody was doing for one. And we didn't really have other technology to make that better. So it was better than what we had before, but down the road, we moved to professional kind of quality studios and things like that in YouTube videos. The same thing will happen here. And if you're competing in the market with a product that you're trying to charge money for, the most polished is going to win. That's just, we like pretty boxes. We like things that, have sliders versus have just fill in the bubble boxes. There's a time and a place for every kind of control, right? But I didn't have to think about this. It just popped out of the box, literally. I didn't even think of the prompt. So let's see what we got. I'll make those targeted improvements to enhance the contrast, hierarchy, and overall polish of the pricing calculator. Perfect. I've implemented those. Most of the feedback to make pricing calculator more polished and accessible. Here's what we've improved. Okay. And I'm not going to so much, I just really want to see the update, right? Okay, so it's still working on it. So what are we doing? Contrast and readability, button enhancement, pricing alignment, consistent labels, smooth auto animations, better contrast. That's clearly a big thing because it was a lot of purple. Slider enhancements, service descriptions, bundle discount. Okay, so it's still going, but I'm going to just say, okay, great. Let's see where we are at, and then we'll go from there. Now, that's a key thing. So I could give it a list of 10 things I want changed, and that would be great, but I don't actually know what it changed from the first set of instructions. So I do want to see those changes before I go tell it to do 10 more things. Because if we have to back something up, if we're like 5 in and then we give it 10 more, now we're 15 in, but that second one's going to change, that's a lot of rework. So with coding like this and creating stuff, you really do want to slow is fast. It truly is. Tell it the change you want, you get the change you want. Great. Done. Check. Tell it the next change you want. Done. Check. Back. You're going to be so much better off if you go step by step by step like that versus just saying, here's the 10 things I want. And that's sort of what we did here, for sure. But I'm trying to move a little quick here on this too. If I was actually coding this, I would have broken that initial instruction up much more and decided, are these the things I actually want? Okay, let's do this one thing first. We're going to deal with contrast first. Great. Now let's look at the sliders. And maybe not all the sliders. We're going to do the photography session sliders first. Let's do whatever we got to do there and then move forward accordingly. So let's see where it's at. Completed improvements. Okay, so it's still going. I have hit return. So this could be a death loop. We will see. But it is still working down. So that it's still progressing in a logical order. That's good. Hopefully we're not too far off the rails yet. Yeah, normally I would not have given that much instruction at once. I definitely would have read it much closer because this will be a total Frankenstein experiment. We'll see. Probably not though, because it's one LLM talking to another. So they're going to have some level of structure, but we will see. I can't wait to find out. And I do have the screenshot initially, so we'll be able to compare and really see what changes were made. And I might be burning up like every Canva token I have here for the month. I don't know. We'll see. Okay. While that's working, I do want to show you a couple of other things. So we had code earlier, and I don't think I still have that saved in memory, unfortunately. But I did find a couple of other places where you can take HTML, just drop them in and see what's going to happen. W3 schools, HTML editor. Sorry, I have this on my other computer, the actual link. So this try it editor, this is great. Right now it's set up for HTML because it is the HTML editor. If I took the Canva code and dumped it in here and hit run, on the right side, I would get that purple thing built. And like I said, that's a great thing. Canva gave me the code, but I'm not locked into Canva. I can take that code and go build 40 other things in 10 different tools. So this is one, this is pretty good. Although this one's HTML based, they do have others. Another one I found was one compiler, which I want to check out a little bit more. And the thing I liked about it has all of the languages, not just HTML. And W3 Schools doesn't have just HTML either. It's just that one editor was HTML. But here it's just in one spot. That I like. And I probably can find the same thing with W3 Schools. Not trying to throw them under the bus at all. But so HTML, okay, so very similar, right? Here's your thing. Now, one thing that's kind of nice here is they do have the split out for the CSS and the JS, and you can change this on the fly, which would get very confusing if you drop in Python here and tell it to run HTML. I believe. I'm a novice coder, so I might be totally wrong on that, but I don't believe I am. But anyway, this one also has AI built into it. It's got pricing, so there is more to this. I'm not advocating this tool. It literally was the second Google response, but I did think it was pretty nice just looking at the front end of it. So some designer did a good job of making me think this was ready to go and perfect. And we will probably play with it at some point because I do think it does look like it does a lot. Anyway, But this is another place you can just drop in the code from Canva Code or from Replit or any place else and say, all right, I'm struggling over here. I don't have time for that. Yeah, you're going to go back to that. But if you're just trying to solve that one line that's totally messing your project up, that's the way we do it. Okay, so lower row, refresh the page. Okay, good, because I just want to see it did make changes. Let me come back here. All right, so your projects. So there's two things you can do. There's recent chats, and I only have two. I only played with two of these out of the box ones. I did this pricing calculator one and the certificate of appreciation, which I think was, no, I don't see it. Interesting. Anyway, it was here. So I only have two projects, so the screen's not too messy yet. If I want to see, if I have a lot of projects, I don't want a better view, just come here to see all, and it's going to move it to the sidebar. So I'm looking for the pricing calculator. Can you show me where are with updates? And like I said, this might be a failed experiment. I did give it a lot. And okay, so this generated code, let's see what it's doing. Might take a moment, improving the contrast. Okay. While it's doing that, I'm going to open this. It's going to let me open another window now. Let me come back out here. So this is just going to keep, this should just keep running. Is there a way to duplicate a project? I can delete, but I can't duplicate. All right, so this was the same thing. We're going to run it again, code it for me. So this is going to be this should produce exactly what we had before. Okay, here's the code. The little slightly different view. It's telling us how many lines, which is kind of handy. We didn't know before how many I came up with. I crank it away, 282. Okay, perfect. So now we have version 1 again. And this is slightly different than what we had before in a lot of ways, like a big time way. So what I really wanted to do though was I just wanted to take the code as another experiment. Like I said, this is the name of the game. It's just trying different stuff and seeing where you get. So I do need my TypingMind back. Okay. So I'm going to do a new chat with a graphic designer. I'm going to try and give her code and see what happens. Hi. Sorry. And I'm going to tell a little fib. I don't have a screenshot of this. Can you get a sense of the project from the code and recommend improvements? And I'm being very vague here. No question about it. It's really just a test to see, can my graphic designer read code and then give me 5 suggestions? Do not respond with code. Rather, just give them to me in text format. Okay. Because if she gives me code back, that's not going to be very helpful for the novice coder. Now, remember, the agent, we told the agent, you are a thing, you are a skilled person, or you have a skill. That doesn't mean that they lost all of their other skills. So while this person is our graphic designer, and as a human, you wouldn't expect the graphic designer to know the code, the LLM actually does. They just have to recess a different part of their knowledge. So let's see what we came up with. Accessibility to semantics, associate labels with input, interaction and control the line, pricing logic and formatting, code experience and outputs, visual polish, and code hygiene. Let's see. Increase legibility of Glass UI. Keep the price summary easily reachable on mobile. Came up with the Cloudflare again thing, basic SEO touches. Okay, so what I want one thing that we can have her do solidly. Okay. Ask her to do this. Okay. Can you do this? And then give me a current visual representation of the entire project at this point. So let's see. So we gave her the code. We know what the code looked like because we had that in Canva. It was less involved than the first one that we had. I like the first one much better. I think that was much sleeker. We might be getting low on tokens, so it gave us less of an output. So now our graphic designer is still working in code. And now we just said, give us a visual representation. And the graphic designer does have access to the GPT image editor and hopefully Dolly too, and Dolly as well. Okay. So this should come out pretty decent because between Dolly and the GPT image editor, it should be able to give us a pretty decent graphic. And we will see. Okay. And it's actually using graphic. I thought that was a little weird because I didn't remember setting up. We might have to tell it to use Dolly. Is it going to keep banging his head against the wall? Okay. All right. So we're gonna stop it. Please. No. All right. Fine. All right. KLLE 3 for your help. Okay. So we'll keep it out of the infinite grok loop because it doesn't have the API. I thought it was weird that it went that direction right away, but okay. While that's working, I'm going to come back out and I'm going to look. All right. I want to look at our first one. This one. This will be the first one we did. All right. Version 2. Okay. So that came up more like what our original one looked like. That was here. You try to squeeze these down a little bit. It's not going to be so easy on the Canva side, but we can make this one smaller. Shoot. Hold on. We can back up. Pictures, screenshots. Okay. We wanted this corner. That'll work. Okay. Come on. Okay. So not bad. So we got back to the original overall, the first project, and it did change. Okay. So it changed the button color and made these a little brighter, I believe. It gave us some call outs up here. So it did make some changes. If we didn't like some of these changes, we could then be very specific and say, I don't like the way you've put the dollar per hour thing over the slider, move that back. But that's pretty good. That's good contrast. We're going to generate a quote. So that's still not really working the way we probably would want it. My guess is we would want to build this out so it actually generated a PDF. Really want to build it out, generate the PDF and email it. So those are all next steps, but we can do those next steps. So I'll go ahead and wrap things up here and we'll just surf the screens as we kind of sign off here. So yes, so really this was just to give you an idea of how to work back and forth. Definitely introduce Canva AI. Definitely introduce that code base because it's HTML. So it's pretty simple. You can kind of follow it along if you read through it. We got a sense of how much is too much, and this other one, it was a little bit too much to ask all at once. Let's see what our TypingMind has come back with. We have a picture. Ooh, it got very, very, very busy. Oh, and we lost it. That happened. Video and artifacts. Here we go. Okay, so that got super busy. That's probably not what we wanted, but that's okay. That's totally what we just wanted to see what would happen as we move back and forth. Obviously, this wasn't a good experiment. I didn't give it a lot of instructions, so I shouldn't have expected too much. The words are not real words here. It's got all the classic stuff. So anyway, we won't beat it up, but anyway, if you give it too much at once, that's what you're going to come back with. That is a huge, huge lesson. So this was the feedback that we took back to Canva. And this is our learning code, which is pretty decent, I think. And then this is just, how do I fix it? So once again, on the urgent things, I could have taken these urgent things, these high priorities, and fed that back. I wouldn't have fed it back the whole thing at once, but you would certainly do this first paragraph and say, please fix this, or tell me why this is in your code and what we need to do to improve it. Or do you disagree and you have a reason for why you did it and this doesn't apply because it didn't have enough context? Same thing here with the extraneous Cloudflare. My guess is that's probably an actual Canva thing. And that might just be something that's in this code that's being generated that doesn't necessarily need to be there, but maybe for Canva, it actually does in order not to break Canva. Don't know. That pure speculation. Have zero idea. Please don't write me, Canva. But anyway, the entire point here is it's all experimental. Go slow to go fast, one step at a time. Lock the things in that you want to lock in, back up the things you want to back up. I definitely proved that if you give it too much at once, it's going to give you not a great result. I do think it's kind of interesting that this got back to where we were. But anyway, so I'm going to wrap it up there. Canva coding. Let's find out what the actual official name is. Canva AI code for me. We'll call it that. Get a Canva account. If you don't have one already, pop in, just try these different things, see what's here, see if you haven't gotten TypingMind yet, which I hope you will have at this point if you're watching this channel. If you haven't, drop it into ChatGPT, you drop it into Gemini, whatever you have access to, and just give it a shot. Just at this point, we are still mucking around and just seeing what's what. We're not really into a project yet. Though I do have something I did in Cursor with my first project that is suffering from the design element. And I am very, very tempted to go back and start that from scratch, or to give it my code from Cursor into Canva and say, please make this pretty, and just see what happens. So that might be the next video. I'm not sure. I don't know how the timing is going to work to make that happen, but that will at some point happen. Whether I do it on camera or not sure. When I do it, I will definitely share the before and after. And maybe at some point we will do some lives where we can kind of go back and forth. By all means, drop things in the comments. If you like this style of video, let me know. If you don't like this style of video, let me know that too. I'm good with the mean comments. So far, there haven't been any. That's great. Appreciate that. But I do want to make this channel interactive. We are going to be building projects together. We're going to have great ideas. We're going to have terrible ideas. We're going to have things that completely bomb and blow up. And probably we have no idea how to recover them. And we'll have other things that, hopefully commercialize by the end of it. So anyway, thank you for watching, and like, subscribe, all that good YouTube stuff. And we will end it there. Thanks.